Panel 1 mic test. Panel 1 mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Panel 2 mic test. Panel 2 mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Panel 3 mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Panel 4 mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Chairman mic test. Chairman mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Panel 5 mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Panel 6 mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Panel 7 mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Panel 8 mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Interpreter mic test. Interpreter mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Witness 1 mic test. Witness 1 mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Witness 2 mic test. Witness 2 mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Witness 3 mic test. Witness 3 mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
We'll start now. Good morning. I call the meeting to order. Now, welcome to the third day of the public hearings for the Select Committee on Deliberate Online Falsehoods, Causes, Consequences and Countermeasures. During the last 2 days, evidence the committee has heard has been both informative and revealing. Now, we have another full day of evidence taking, and I look forward to hearing from today's witnesses. May I now invite the witness to come forward to the witness table? Hi, good morning. For the record, could you please state your name and the position that you hold in your organization?
Yes, my name is Septiaji Eko Nugroho. I'm the founder and also currently the chairman of Masyarakat Anti Fitnah Indonesia or Mafindo, or in English is Indonesians Anti-Hoax Community.
Okay, thank you. The evidence you'll be giving before the committee will be taken on oath. If you so desire, you may take an affirmation. Clerk will now administer the oath.
Please, guys. Read the affirmation.
I, Septiaji Eko Nugroho, do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the evidence which I shall give before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Please be seated. Now, welcome to the public hearings for the Select Committee. The focus for today's evidence gathering session is for us to put questions to you. You have taken a solemn obligation to answer our questions truthfully, and I now call upon Mr. Pritam Singh to ask the questions.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Just before we start, is it okay if I refer to you as Mr. Nugroho?
Yes.
That is fine?
Please.
Thank you. Now, what I will do, Mr. Nugroho, is I will go through your evidence that you submitted, and I would appreciate it if you reply by saying correct or yes. If I'm speaking too fast, let me know. Or if you don't understand what I'm saying, please let me know as well. Okay? Thank you. Okay, Mr. Nugroho, I move straight into the first page of your submission, which is headed "The Phenomenon of Using Digital Technology to Deliberately Spread Falsehoods Online." And you say the disinformation ecosystem exploits the state of internet and social media that are friendly to anonymous account.
Yes.
Many people also still have false impressions that they are free to speak anything on social media without consequences.
Yes.
You go on then to say we are also entering the post-truth era, that people with different political affiliations, different ethnics, different religions tend to have more distrust to others. People are easy to believe any information that suits their initial position, regardless true or false, but in other hand, very difficult to accept even facts if different with personal position, and we call this confirmation bias.
Yes.
You go on then to the bottom of that page to say there was a report from an expert in Indonesian linguistics that happens to be expert witness on several cases at Indonesian police. The suspects that spreading the disinformations he dealt with are people with high education and having a very good job. So we have a disconnection between people with high education and how they behave on social media and chat apps.
Yes.
In the following page, you say, we believe that the causes of why Indonesian people are easy to spread misinformation are not only of the low literacy problem, but also because polarization between people of different ethnics, religion, political affiliations, and other interests. The partisanship of several mainstream media also fuels this situation. Some people leaving mainstream media, but unfortunately went into using rogue websites, and in brackets you say clickbait, as a source of information.
Yes.
Thank you. I go on now to your third page, which is headed "The Motivations and Reasons for Spreading Such Falsehoods and the Types of Individuals and Entities, both local and foreign, which engage in such activity." And here you refer to the economic element of deliberate online falsehoods. You say in your second paragraph, the first one is economical reason. We were guests at Mata Najwa's live TV show on March 2017, and at the opening scene, there was a confession video from a person behind several rogue websites. He claimed to gather 300 to 500 million rupiahs monthly from ads on his websites, and this, in your submission, you say translates to between 20 and 35,000 US dollars.
Yes.
He confessed that he doesn't care about the nature of the information on his websites. As long as he can clickbait the people, he will produce any informations, including the falsehoods.
Yes.
The second is political ideological reasons. Social media and chat apps are becoming the major place of public opinions debate, even more than on the mainstream media. Some political power or ideological group try to influence the social media with disinformations.
Yes.
You make an interesting contribution at the end of the page, and it's different because we've received evidence from very few Southeast Asian contributors, but yours has been an important one. And you talk about language here. And you say in Indonesia, what we are seeing until now, the type of individuals engaging in such activity are locals. We haven't seen situation like in United States that disinformation created by people living in East Europe. Maybe because Indonesia uses Bahasa and not every people have time to invest to jump into the language. But countries with major shared language as the main language like English, French, etc. should be prepared.
Yes.
So you would say that in a multiracial, multi-religious society, these concerns actually are even more important.
Yes.
Thank you. I go on to the next page. It is headed the consequences that the spread of online falsehoods can have on Singapore society, including to our institutions and democratic processes. And here you move on to elections and how elections, being a time of quite a lot of tension between different parties, for example, you say in your second paragraph, in Indonesia, every elections would create a big wave of disinformations.
Yes.
Our fact-checking platform recorded a high spike of disinformations on every major elections. We started to see this phenomenon on Jakarta governor election on 2012, but the number was increased significantly at presidential election on 2014 and also Jakarta governor election on 2017. We expect to see this trend also in this simultaneous elections at 171 locations in 2018 and general and presidential election next year. I also highlighted a part which was very interesting. You mentioned even some of the disinformation are quite silly, but it can make the government very busy to clarify the disinformation, hence wasting resources to do so.
Yes.
Thank you. The final segment of your evidence is titled How Singapore Can Prevent and Combat Online Falsehoods. And I have a question in regard to your third paragraph where you say Indonesia also already has a law that prohibit creating / sharing fake informations, UUITE, but we think many updates should be done. Could you please share with the committee what law is it that Indonesia has that prohibits creating and sharing fake informations?
In Indonesia, we have already 2 laws that prohibit us sharing these misinformations, especially if it contains in Indonesian called fitnah. In English is slander to other people. And also if it contains information that discriminate other races or other religion people. So that's we have already the law, but we think that we need some kind of updates because of the social media issue is most of them are quite new. So Indonesia, I think we are still going to make a kind of new formulations how to make a much better law to handle these issues.
Do you have any suggestions that Mafindo may have made that could improve these laws?
Yes, actually, at this year we are going to have a kind of running of series of FGDs, focus discussions group, addressing a lot of issues, and some of them are addressing how we can improve this kind of law, so that, for example, we can distinguish between the people being the actors, I mean that the people behind this creating the fake news that produce, and sometimes the people that get the money for producing the fake news, that they attack each other. So basically that we need to distinguish between the actors and also the common people that still don't understand how the danger of the hoax is. We call them as a victim. So this is kind of situations that we need to address in the law much more precisely. So yeah, we hope this is the direction that we are going to advocate these issues to the government.
You spoke about hoaxes, and I will just turn you to the last page of your submission, the last paragraph, where there is this intention of creating more hoax crisis centers. And you say the hoax crisis center is the place where people could ask the clarification of the issues and also the command center to seek the fact if there is a disputed information arises. Can I just clarify, these crisis centers, are they already in operation?
It is on preparation stage. We hope that we are going to run this Hoax Crisis Center next month because we are already going into the election year.
Yes.
In June, we have simultaneously 170 elections, and also the next year we have the biggest, the general and president's election. So this is the we are going to set up a 3 Hoax Crisis Center. It's a kind of a media center, but
Is this you?
sorry.
Broken down.
This is a kind of a media center, just like a media center, but specifically for addressing issues, for make clarifications, and how to disseminate the clarifications much more wider.
And this must be a incredibly large undertaking.
Yes, actually, this is we are trying to collaborate the stakeholders on the to make a kind of anti-hoax or anti-misinformation ecosystem between the government, the community, the public figures, or for example, the religious leaders, and also the community. And Mavindo is kind of the initiator of this Hoax Crisis Center.
And the response has been positive from these different stakeholders?
The response is very, very positive.
I understand. And who funds these hoax crisis centers?
You know that Mavindo is actually a community that based on voluntarism. So actually we have already 300 volunteers around the 15 cities. And but we need also, at the moment, we are still trying to find some kind of funding to get some infrastructure. But we have already the IT infrastructure built in Jakarta. For example, the IT, the applications. Yeah. So what we need to get is actually to get some fund to put the people on the ground. For example, as a PIC, so that we can connect easily with the journalists, for example, the government, the police, and also the netizen, the influencers, which would help us to first find the clarification of the issues and also to disseminate the issues, the clarifications, because the challenge that we are going to have actually in this elections year is we have so many places. Yeah, we have so many places, and we need to get as much help as we can from the people.
And I just want to press the point a little for this IT infrastructure that you mentioned. Was this also contributed by volunteers, or was it a donation by some entity?
Yeah, we get some kind of donations, so we can hire some kind of full-time programmers. So we already started a kind of infrastructure, the database, and we collaborate with the journalists to populate this database. This is a kind of centralized database of hoax, of misinformations that anybody can use it. For example, the government, the media can just take our informations from our database and they can just create some articles about these misinformations.
Let me just go back one page. I jumped forward because you spoke of the hoax crisis center, so I thought I'd deal with that first. But let me go back and towards the middle of the page, where you, excuse me, you spoke of Mavindo being part of an ecosystem to combat online falsehoods. And what I found interesting was that you are creating an API called Yudhishthira to interact your database with Google Fact Check, Facebook, and online medias. How has this interaction been with tech companies like Google and Facebook? Have they been supportive of your initiatives?
Yes, the Google actually is already half year supporting us, for example, for making networking for Mavindo to get connected to other entities, just like a first draft from United States and some other countries. This is kind of a broader coalitions on how to fight misinformations. So Yudhishthira is actually a kind of a API that will interconnect our database to a Google fact check tag. So for example, if people, they search of some kind of information that lead to websites that contains the misinformation, that there will be a warning that this is a misinformation, this is false by Mavindo, for example. So it will try to advise people not to jump into these sites, for example. And we are going to make this kind of interaction with Facebook also. And yeah, that's the direction. So we would like to amplify our database so that much more people can have the benefits from what we are doing.
Thank you. Well, Facebook is very popular in Singapore. Have you had any interaction with Facebook specifically on collaboration, and have they been supportive of your efforts? And have they said that certain things they will not be able to do, certain things they will be able to do? Has there been any limit to the cooperation you could extend, or Facebook could extend to you and your organization?
Yes, we already started collaboration with Facebook, but at the moment, actually, Mavindo is going to submit a kind of a certification for International Fact Checker Network, IFCN. So after we receive the certification, then we could go on with the Facebook as the third party for fact checking the articles in the Facebook. But of course, we are going to propose that not only fact checking by humans, but we need to make a kind of machine-to-machine fact checking. I mean that our database and our API should be able to interact with the issues that spread in Facebook. So this is still going on.
So it's not an agreement yet with Facebook. It's still it's a constant engagement, it would appear.
Yes, but I think it's in a positive tone.
Noted. Thank you. I have no further questions for you, Mr. Nugroho. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Ms.
Chair.
Ms. Sun?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Nugroho, for making the trip to Singapore. I thought that, since you're with us here today, that we should benefit from your experience in Indonesia, especially because in the past few days, the representatives that we have met have mostly been from Eastern Europe, and we haven't had the benefit of someone from the Southeast Asian context. So if you could bear with me while I go through your submission in detail, and if you could highlight and elaborate certain places. On page 3, in paragraph 4, you had described 2 incidents of falsehoods in Indonesia. Could I trouble the clerks to pull up the relevant section, please? Could you describe to us this incident that you mentioned about a mob 2016 in North Sumatra, which was driven by disinformation that led to the destruction of holy places? Could you elaborate on that and explain to us what happened?
Yes, so in 2016, we had a kind of issues about a Chinese woman that angry to people that, doing the prayer call in the morning. Actually, she has a mental disorder, but this kind of information was spread with the misinformation using the chat apps. And it triggers the mob that they destroyed, they burned, not entirely, but at least they threatened 7 viharas in Tanjung Balai in North Sumatra. That's I think one of incident that was already highlighted by several medias. And also the second one is actually at the beginning of the 2017, there was a kind of false digital flyer that advised people to be careful because it is a kind of massive child kidnapping. So even the digital flyer contains the police logo, but this is actually false. And the people in West Kalimantan, some of them fall into these informations, and there was an incident that one father that tried to bring rice to his children in West Kalimantan, but he was suspected as a child kidnapper. So he was the victim, and he was beaten to death.
And also on page 3, you mentioned that this information can also have financial and health implications. Could you elaborate on that as well, please?
Yes. The first one is actually the misinformation in health. Yeah, for example, there are so many misinformations regarding health, especially in the social media. Some people that have already that are sick, sometimes they are not patient enough, and then they try to get some solutions from the internet, which is unfortunately, if we try to get some information from the internet, many of them are actually misleading. Sometimes are just kind of mixing between the truth and the false, and sometimes they just try to get some people to buy some of their products, which is actually could be dangerous. And we already talked with some kind of health institutions, for example, the cancer foundations, and they told us also that several patients, they try to get some kind of therapy from the internet, and they leave their medical therapy, and when they consider that their path is wrong, but it was too late. So it takes a lot of lives there. Even actually in our group discussion, there was several reports. For example, in social media, there was a kind of information that if you got stroke, and the solution is just take a needle and just put in your fingers, and also the ears, yeah. So it will make your stroke easier. But this kind of misinformation was believed by several people. There was a report that in one office, when people got stroke, the distance between the office and the hospital is actually 10 minutes away. But the people in the office, they didn't take the person directly to the hospital, but they use this kind of therapy, and this lead the people to death. So this is a kind of the danger of the health of misinformation in the social media. The second one of the financials, there are so many Ponzi scheme business that they try to masquerade themselves as a legit business, and they try to get their victims through the social media. And the toll is quite high. I mean, we got a report from the Authority of Financial Service from Indonesia, and it costs so many tens of trillions rupiah lost to this kind of a rock business, and it destroyed the local economy.
Would you say that in the instances of the fake news regarding health and financial cases that you cited, that this also impacts educated people?
Yes, yes. It impacts educated people because sometimes if you are educated in some kind of specific knowledge, sometimes you don't have quite enough literacy on health or on financial.
Okay, so in that sense, even though you have set out on page 4 that why misinformation spreads so easily in Indonesia, and one of the reasons you provided was low literacy, it is also possible that there are fake news that impacts well-read and educated people. It just depends on where their, I guess, expertise is in. There could be areas that they're not familiar with, and therefore they could still fall prey to fake news.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. You mentioned on page 5 of your last paragraph, which is a point that my colleague, Mr. Pritam Singh, had mentioned as well, that Indonesia had not witnessed the spread of falsehoods by foreign actors, and this could be because Indonesia uses Bahasa. But there could be a situation whereby a foreign power colludes with local parties in Indonesia who has the local culture, knowledge of the local language, and is able to disseminate fake news using Bahasa. That could be possible as well, right?
It's possible, but we haven't seen yet.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to follow up on a point that was earlier raised, where you talked about your interaction with Google and in future with hopefully with Facebook as well. You mentioned that currently it is along the lines of fact-checking. But are there instances whereby you have had to work with Google in the past to ask them to take down information that you have already ascertained to be false, and that they could do so quickly? Has there been examples like that in the past?
We have already discussions on that topic, but it seems that company like Google, they have a kind of standard of net neutrality, so they will not take down any contents. They just ask a third party to flag any misinformations.
So even when the information is explicitly false,
Yes.
they will not?
I think that's our perceptions, yeah. I think that's our perceptions like that. But I mean that, may I continue? I mean that one of our approach is actually to make, we also create a kind of a custom Google search engine, so that if people using this custom search engine, they will not go into these rogue websites. For example, we only list sites that in Indonesia is legitimate sites. For example, sites that from mainstream media that is listed in a press council. Press council is a kind of organization that registers the mainstream media in our country. So this list is actually will be part of our custom search engine, so that people using this custom search engine, this is also using the search engine, the Google search engine, but they will not go into this kind of rogue websites. So this is the approach that we are going to advocate to the people using the clean search engine.
Okay, but what is the reach of this custom search engine that you have?
Sorry?
What is the reach? How many people use this customized search engine that you have?
Yeah, actually we already launch this February. So it's part of our applications from to Android. It's called Hoaxbuster Tools from Play Store that people can freely download it. And it is also, we are going to launch the next version for the international versions. So there is a content that people can use. One of the menu is actually to use the anti-hoax search engine. At the moment, I think still quite a few thousands people download the applications. So yeah, I think still this is still very early stage for advocating how to use the clean search engine like that.
Okay. I read today in the Straits Times that there was an article on Indonesia waging a war on fake news ahead of elections next year, which is exactly what you mentioned earlier as well. Would you say that you starting this search engine in just February that you mentioned, is this part of the initiatives that the ecosystem is taking to guard yourself against fake news?
Yes.
Would you say that the fallout from Mr. Basuki's case, I mean Ahok's case, has given, I guess, organizations like yourself clear indications of what could potentially happen in Indonesia in the election year? Would you foresee that there could be more propagation of fake news along the lines of what happened in Ahok's case, and to use such techniques to affect elections in a larger scale across Indonesia?
I mean that what we have seen actually is not only related from Mr. Basuki elections, but mostly in every elections. But of course, the elections that has a kind of tensions in racial and religious, it tends that the misinformation will be much higher. So in our elections in this year also, we are going to see that kind of trend of like that. For example, in regions that have more racial tensions, more religious tensions, we expect that we will get some more misinformation rather than other regions that don't have a kind of such tensions.
Okay, so I guess in summary, what you're saying is that the makeup of Indonesia, given the multiracial, multi-religious makeup that you have, with the potential use of fake news, and in election year, there could be a lot of chaos if it's not properly managed, because fake news could be used in a very nefarious and negative manner to affect elections. I think that's the first point. I think that's come across very clearly, I think, in your testimony today.
Yes.
And I think secondly, we're very heartened to hear about what your organization, together with the ecosystem that you're building up in Indonesia, is trying to do at a community level, working with agencies as well to combat fake news. And it appears that your interaction with Google and Facebook is starting, but that there could be some potential obstacles because, like you say, they maintain net neutrality, which means that even when news is explicitly fake, they do not actually take it down because they do not see it as their responsibility to do so. That is an accurate assessment of what you have said?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll
Thank
pass
you.
it over to the chairman.
Ms. Rahayu?
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to ask my questions in Malay, subject to the witnesses' agreement. I believe he can answer in Bahasa Indonesia.
Yes, she would like to ask questions in Malay. So, bisa jawab
Yes, you're
dalam
in,
bahasa juga.
so I will answer you in bahasa.
Bahasa Indonesia.
Yes.
Ya. Terima kasih Bapak Septiaji Nugroho kerana sudi ke sini. Saya ada beberapa soalan daripada keterangan yang telah diberikan. Pertama, saya lihat dalam keterangan yang diberikan, Bapak ada menyebut tentang kerisauan tentang tahap kesedaran masyarakat mengenai apa yang mereka boleh lakukan di media sosial. Mereka rasa bebas untuk melakukan dan menyatakan apa-apa tanpa mengenangkan akibat yang akan datang daripada apa yang mereka nyatakan. Jadi tadi Bapak telah jelaskan dan dalam keterangan juga ada tentang situasi-situasi tertentu yang menunjukkan kesan daripada penggunaan ataupun penyebaran kepalsuan di media sosial. Saya ingin tanya sama ada Bapak juga bersetuju bahawa ia juga memberi kesan kepada kehidupan seharian antara masyarakat. Kerana apabila berlakunya satu perkara, walaupun mungkin telah selesai, telah dijelaskan, tetap ada rasa curiga, tentram antara satu sama lain. Tentu sekali apabila wujudnya isu tentang agama dan sebagainya, itu juga menjadi satu masalah. Dan juga rasa kurang yakin kepada pemerintah kerana mungkin ada yang kepalsuan yang telah dinyatakan. Apakah pandangan Bapak tentang hal itu? Mungkin saya rasa ada is the translation going to come?
As soon as you see the light means they want you to stop for them to translate. If you see the light in front of you. I'll indicate to you. Carry on, please.
So I'm done for the first question.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. And then I have several questions that I'd like to ask. And the first one is the fear of awareness of the several situations, as in the spreading of fake news, and that in the internet, there are people who are free to express anything that they want. So there's this fear among the people around you, whether there's a lot of all this information that is spread. And there's also the effects on the daily life, as in the expressions of against religion, and also this and also the situation, although it has passed, the effects is still felt. So, is that?
Pak, silakan answer.
In bahasa ya? Oke. Ya, terima kasih atas pertanyaan. Jadi situasi yang terjadi sekarang tidak hanya di Indonesia tetapi di dunia itu adalah ketika masyarakat cenderung untuk berkumpul secara homogen di jejaring sosial network-nya. Jadi ketika di Facebook, ketika di WhatsApp, mereka lebih cenderung untuk berkumpul dengan orang-orang yang seideologi. Dan hal-hal ini membuat orang menurunkan toleransi terhadap pandangan-pandangan yang berbeda. Kemudian yang kedua adalah dia juga kemudian justru media sosial dengan jejaring homogen ini membuat amplifikasi terhadap polarisasi, terkait polarisasi isu-isu politik ataupun juga isu-isu tentang etnis dan agama. Kemudian juga Hal itu juga membuat orang menjadi semakin meningkat untuk menerima informasi apapun, mau benar atau salah, selama dia mencocoki dengan kesadaran awalnya. Nah, kemudian juga sekaligus dia semakin menutup peluang untuk informasi-informasi lain yang tidak sesuai dengan apa yang diinginkannya. Nah, ini menyebabkan situasi terbangunnya yang kita sebut dengan echo chamber, ya, orang mudah curiga, orang mudah tidak percaya kepada orang-orang yang dianggapnya di luar kelompoknya. Sehingga,
excuse me, could you hold on for a minute? The translator wants to translate.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The situation in Indonesia and the world is that there's a group of people who are inclined to group together in the same media network like Facebook and all. Especially they will group together with people who share the same ideas. And in this instance, the tolerance level is reduced because polarization is amplified. And also, such discussions will also close further opportunities for them because there's this echo chamber effect where they believe, they tend to disbelieve what is true and only share information that they are common amongst themselves.
ya, jadi ini menyebabkan bahwa pendekatan untuk menangani misinformasi itu tidak melulu membutuhkan pendekatan edukasi literasi. Bahwa itu penting, iya. Tetapi pendekatan yang lain yang harus dilakukan adalah pendekatan top-down, pendekatan dari atas ke bawah, yaitu dengan mengajak tokoh-tokoh publik, tokoh agama, tokoh lintas etnis, untuk mereka juga bersatu padu untuk mengklarifikasi isu bersama. Tidak boleh ada pembiaran terhadap isu, meskipun isu itu menyenangkan kita, isu itu menyerang pihak lain yang kita tidak sukai. Nah, ini butuh kesadaran bersama di antara kita, sehingga kita boleh berbeda, tetapi kita tidak boleh mentolerir adanya kedustaan yang lewat di depan kita. Demikian.
And the approach for such situations is that it's not only to have media literacy, but it also has to be a top-down effect where you have to involve public figures, religious figures, and they have to come together to explain the issues. And although they are not issues that they share, it shouldn't be something that, even if it's different, they shouldn't attack all these differences.
Terima kasih. Saya ada lagi satu soalan. Kelihatan seperti bapa bersetuju yang perlu adanya pendekatan yang multi-prong, yang pelbagai, ya. Jadi itu penting kerana tadi bapa sebutkan adanya polarization of ideas and views. Jadi dalam hal itu saya ingin bertanya, adakah dengan adanya penyebaran kepalsuan ini, terutama sekali dalam internet, pemikiran ataupun pandangan politik masyarakat di Indonesia dapat berubah kerana adanya kepalsuan, ianya sesuatu yang cukup kuat untuk mampu mengubah pemikiran politik seseorang itu. Adakah itu sesuatu yang dapat dilihat di Indonesia?
Ya, kami melihatnya seperti itu.
Okay.
You mentioned just now that this multi-prong approach, right? So they're wondering whether these ideas and views and this information will be able to change the political views of the Indonesian people themselves. Do you see such changes happening?
I think
Yeah.
he answered.
I think he's answered the question.
Okey, mungkin soalan yang terakhir, saya amat gembira melihat usaha Mafindo untuk menjadi sebahagian daripada ekosistem yang dapat membantu memperbaiki keadaan. Jadi saya ingin bertanya, apakah ada assessment atau penilaian tentang keberkesanan usaha Mafindo dalam hal ini dapatkah dilihat mungkin dari segi perubahan dari bentuk jumlah orang yang berbincang ataupun dalam perubahan statistik, apakah keberkesanannya dan apakah usaha selanjutnya yang perlu dilakukan?
I'm happy with the efforts by Mafindo and to change and improve the situations, but I'm wondering whether there's any assessments on this effectiveness, whether you've seen any changes on the number of people discussing such issues, or any statistics to support them?
Ya, mungkin saya kali ini belum membawa data, tapi sejak kami melakukan aktivitas melawan fake news, itu setidaknya pertama di bulan Desember 2016, Januari 2017, itu masyarakat semakin terbiasa dengan istilah hoax, dengan istilah misinformasi. Dan gerakan ini juga semakin berkembang, bahkan mungkin di bulan ini, di bulan Maret, ini secara massal ada gerakan anti-hoax, deklarasi anti-hoax oleh berbagai stakeholder, termasuk yang diinisiasi oleh Polisi Republik Indonesia untuk mengajak masyarakat melawan hoax, dan ini dilakukan di ratusan tempat. Jadi kami hanya mengukur dari kepedulian masyarakat terkait dengan isu hoax ini semakin meningkat. Tokoh-tokoh juga semakin banyak yang berbicara tentang urgensi melawan hoax dan juga bagaimana bermedia sosial dengan sehat. Tokoh-tokoh publik, tokoh-tokoh agama, selebriti, mereka juga banyak yang menekankan isu ini. Jadi penilaian kualitatif seperti itu yang mungkin bisa saya sampaikan. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Yeah, I didn't bring any data with me, but since our initial efforts, we've seen people getting more used to the term hoax or misinformation. And since December 2016 and early January 2017, all those, and then we were going to have another movement in March where we are involving a lot of stakeholders, including the police, and we see a lot more public figures and celebrities coming forward and supporting the efforts.
Ms. Sun, please.
Sorry, just two more questions. I read that President Jokowi has inaugurated a new cybersecurity agency in January. Has Mafindo been in contact with them?
Not yet.
Is there an intention to do so since there are state initiatives to combat fake news? I understand not only the cybersecurity agency, but also there is a coordinator for digital rights group SafeNet, I think Indonesia as well.
With SafeNet, we already have close collaborations, but we also try to get other bodies, governmental bodies, to have a talk each other. So, because our approach is, we believe that multi-pronged approach is the best idea. So actually, we are going to expand our networking to other institutions, not only in Indonesia, but also in foreign countries. For example, we already have a kind of initiative like Asia Pacific fact checker networks. For example, to handle the cross-border debunking. For example, if some misinformation spread in Indonesia, it potentially also will spread in other countries, especially, for example, like scientific hoaxes or misinformations, just like a rice plastic, which originally, I think, in Thailand or in the Philippines, but also spread in India and also in Indonesia. So this is kind of initiative that will stop that. So this is not only national cooperations, but we hope that we could expand to kind of much broader to get some kind of foreign institutes to work together.
Okay, and on this Asia Pacific fact checker network that you talk about, this is led by journalists. Who is the body that's behind the organization of this?
This is still informal collaborations. So Mafindo is initiating this kind of group discussions that we call this Asia Pacific Fact Checker Network with our partners from India, from Philippines, from Thailand, from Taiwan, from Japan. We hope also our colleagues from Singapore will also join us.
Okay, and one other question, which is on, again from the Straits Times article on Indonesia wages war on fake news ahead of election next year. It is mentioned that police have launched a crackdown rounding up members of the Muslim Cyber Army. You are familiar, you have heard, I assume, of them.
Yes.
And they use Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to attack the government and stoke religious extremism. Given that their actions are well documented, is there any way you could highlight this to Google or Facebook to tell them that if there is news coming out from people linked to the Muslim cyber army, that they really should pay attention and take down this information which is explicitly false?
Yes, in Mavindo we have ethic of conduct. I mean that we only deal with the contents, not the people behind that. So because the how to crack down the people behind that is actually the part of the law enforcement, law enforcers, just like the police or other bodies. But that's thing that we need to explain.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
Ms. Chia?
Thank you, Septiaji, for coming here. Just a quick question in relation to what you have found. Do you have data that may suggest that the number of posts that are false, which relate to religion, race, or ethnic groups, the sort of proportions that they have in relation to other less like health or maybe commercial hoaxes? And do you have also any data as to how all these hoaxes have impacted the thinking of people? Thank you.
The first one is actually we haven't quantified yet because our organization is based on the volunteerism. So at the moment we are also, this is very important to distinguish that, but we at our group forums we have already more than 2,000 misinformation since September 2015, but we still need to make a classification yet. But we believe that most of the misinformation related to political issues and also to the racial and religious tensions. The second one is for the impact. Of course, yeah, we still need to have a kind of correct measures, but still we don't have it yet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Nugroho, I just have one last question. Having heard, some of the questions from my colleagues, and this pertains to, it's not just Indonesia, but even Singapore. We've had a history of a short history, fortunately, of some racial incidents in the 60s in particular, and so has Indonesia. Indonesia has had its, own history as well. And in that context, do you think there is some scope for a government to force technology companies like Google and Facebook to take down certain posts because of their incendiary capacity? And I understand just now you answered by saying, there's net neutrality, and it seems to me that you're working within the framework of net neutrality and getting fact checkers and so forth. But there could be certain incidents which are so dangerous that a different sort of approach may have to be considered. What are your views on this? Do you think this is something that is a way forward?
Yes, actually in Indonesia, if there is a content that very, very dangerous, or for example, there was a kind of a man that made his suicide live in Facebook, and the government directly contact the Facebook and also the YouTube from Google to take down the content. So I think this is some kind of specific examples that maybe some kind of intervention is possible.
So you would agree that such an approach, or at least in so far as having a slew of measures, one such measure could be having to inform the tech company to take down the content.
Yes, I believe
immediately. So. And you think that that is important to be in the arsenal of what could be done to tackle fake news?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, Pak Septiaji, thank you very much for coming all the way here and for your submissions, which we appreciate a lot. We will send you a transcript of today's proceedings, and if there are any mistakes, any corrections, please correct them and send it back to us. In the meantime, once again, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, I propose we take a lunch break now, and I suspend the meeting, and we will resume our proceedings at 1 p.m. Thank you.